I'm better than I was yesterday, and I'm 1,000 times better than I was 10 years ago.
What's up, people? Welcome to this episode of the By the Hood podcast or webcast, because I don't know how you're consuming this content. I'm your host, as always. My name is Jimmy, and as we start off every show, that is with gratitude. I want to say thank you to anyone who supports us in any way, all of our members of MDC Strategy, as well as the youth from the By the Hood Ownership Camp, and anybody in By the Hood University. So we have our whole little Marvel Cinematic Universe of financial education and just like connections with our family, I call them. But I'm joined by my partner in crime, as always. Corey is in the building. What's up, good brother?
Chilling, man. Every day above ground's a good day, so let's go get it.
Absolutely, man. And this is our podcast for those tuning in possibly for the first time. We talk about all things Black wealth as well as personal finance, and just talk about an array of topics, within our culture. Every once in a while we have guests, for those, again, who are not familiar with our body of work. Our podcast used to be centered around guests, but, there's too many scammers out there. So now we have to do a lot of vetting before we bring someone in front of you. So with that being said, most of our podcasts, and me and Cord is chopping it up, talking about what's going on in the world of Black wealth as well as personal finance and things that affect the markets. We are investors as well as many other things. So we're in the markets every day with us as well as our community. Shout out to our entire community. So a lot of things affect us on a daily basis. Yesterday, there was big news in the world of finance that we're going to talk about. And I got an interesting way I want to talk about this. So Charlie Munger, the vice president of Berkshire Hathaway, the Warren Buffett's right-hand man, passed away at the age of 99. First of all, shout to 99 because that's right. That's an amazing ride, right?
Lived it.
Yeah, man. I think January 1st, he was turning 100. I had just heard him on a podcast recently. It was the first podcast he ever did and the only podcast he ever did. And he was talking about getting ready to turn 100. But this is interesting in the world of finance because I know a lot of people are watching this probably like, why y'all talking about, that old white man, right? So it's because we do talk about Black wealth. But this is a big story, not only in the world of finance overall, but there's a couple things that as people were posting about, some of his best quotes and euphemisms and things that he said, that I found interesting. So I was on Twitter yesterday, just scrolling through, all the madness. So my Twitter timeline is just insanity, man. And it ain't my fault, man. There's some of y'all heathens out there that I follow, man. Y'all be out of chill. Y'all likes can be seen. Your retweets is out there, man. Y'all got to stop retweeting the pun on my timeline and then some of the wild conspiracy theories. But amongst that, it was a bunch of talk about Munger passing and let me bring up the tweet that was interesting. This is nobody I follow either. It was just within the context of a bunch of stuff flooding. He was trending yesterday because of, his popularity in the world. So I'm going to get your take in a second, Core, but let me read this. And it's a short video here, too. It's only 1 minute long, so I'll play his thoughts. But this guy was talking a lot about Munger yesterday because he's a value investor himself. His name is at Vitalik or whatever it is, how you pronounce it. Yeah, Vitalik or whatever. But he had posted a couple things, but I thought this was the most interesting. He said he narrowed down Charlie Munger's rules of life based upon this video and a couple other videos he watched. But it comes down to 4 things. Spend less than you earn. That's number 1. Number 2, avoid toxic people and activities. Number 3, become a lifetime learner. And number 4, delay gratification. And he said, what would you add to the list? I'm going to ask you guys, what would you add to the list too? But let me play this quick clip from Charlie Munger talking about how simple it is to have a good life, because in fact he did say it was simple. So let me play this real fast.
It's so simple to spend less than you earn and invest shrewdly and avoid toxic people and toxic activities and try and keep learning all your life, et cetera, and do a lot of deferred gratification because you prefer life that way. And if you do all those things, you are almost certain to succeed. And if you don't, you're going to need a lot of luck. And you don't want to need a lot of luck. You want to go into a game where you're very likely to win without having any unusual luck.
I'd add one more thought, too. You need to know how people can manipulate other people, and you need to resist the temptation to do it yourself.
Oh, yes. The toxic people who are trying to fool you or lie to you, who aren't reliable in meeting their commitments. The great lesson of life is get them the hell out of your life.
Yeah.
And do it fast.
So I thought that was interesting. So I'll reiterate it again. Spend less money than you earn, avoid toxic people and activities, become a lifetime learner, and delay your gratification. So, Core, what are your thoughts on that specific way? And the reason why this specific post resonated with me amongst all the RIP shout outs and all the other witty and funny things he said through the years is because sometimes, like whether we're talking about, and this is how this relates to Black wealth and personal finance, sometimes when we have people who are members of our group or students from one of our classes or just in teaching in general, people are always looking for this like secret potion, magic pill type thing. And it really comes down to a couple simple things. And this simplifies it very well. And that's why it resonated with me. It's like, because as many times as I've watched their Berkshire shareholder meeting, people asking the same questions over again, because they're continuously looking for this, like this crazy gem. And he's very consistent in some of the things he says. One of the things I'll give him and Buffett about, they're very consistent in some of the stuff they say, which is keep it simple, right? So what is your thoughts on, first of all, the old head passing and this take on his rules to a good life?
I'm gonna keep it a foul. I don't care about him passing. His family might care, and people that love him might care, but I don't know, boy, so I don't really care.
Respect.
I don't.
Yo, if folks in like on Bitcoin Twitter was like clapping at him yesterday, because he said some smart things about Bitcoin, so they was clapping at him heavy. I tend to like
I don't dislike him. I just don't know him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I know.
It's no hate, no shade. You know what I mean? I hope his family, find peace and all of that. He lived a nice long life, and he's taking care of a lot of people, and so those people, are going to care.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
I respect it, bro.
I'm just not one of those people. You know what I mean? Like, and so I'm not, I'm not upset or distraught, and I'm also not, happy that the man died. I just don't care.
Understood. Now, what do you think about the 4 simple rules to a good life? Do you agree with it? Disagree with it? Is something else you would like to add? What do you think about it being that simple in his opinion?
I mean, my philosophy is very similar, so I like it. You know what I mean? Like, I have a problem with the toxic people thing because I'm into social services, so that's kind of hard to get toxic people out of my life because I invite them in. So besides that, everything else he said is just pretty spot on. You know what I mean? Like,
avoiding toxic people. That's a great conversation because I was,
over. The thing is not avoiding toxic people because it's kind of, unless you avoid people, you're not going to be able to avoid toxic people.
It depends, right? So in the workplace, possibly not, but in your personal life.
Oh, and in your personal life, well, that's not always true. Depending upon what your family situations look like, right? Because the toxic person might be your mom and you're a child, or you know what I mean? Like, you just can't say just avoid toxic people. What you could say is, you have control over your emotions, and you can get, as an adult, 99 times out of 100, you can avoid toxic people. But everybody can't avoid toxic people.
I mean,
so if you can avoid toxic people, do so. But if you can't avoid toxic people, then it's up to you to be strong enough not to let their toxicity seep into what you do.
So I think there's levels to that. And I was just having a conversation over Thanksgiving. I was talking to my younger nephew, but also my cousin, and kind of having a similar conversation about this because they were laughing at me because I cut family members off like it's nothing. And they'd be like, but that's family. And I'd be like, I don't care.
No,
because
we were born related.
So I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I like to I hate this word because it's so overused on social media, but I like to curate my life in a certain way. I want to spend time around the people that I enjoy spending time around. I want to work with the people I enjoy working with. So that, again, 100% of the time you can't avoid it, but you can try as hard as possible.
Oh,
And
for sure.
I do think that it's important to. And sometimes, and I think that's the deeper conversation, which is why it's interesting you pointed that specific rule out. Sometimes it's the hard decisions in terms of cutting off those that are family or are close to you that we struggle with. You know what I mean? Like there's certain, man, it's a tough conversation, but sometimes, man, in conversations I have with people, sometimes it could be your own spouse. Now, I'm fortunate enough not to have to go through that, but sometimes people like, yo, you got to cut people off sometimes, man. If someone is always draining your energy and always bringing negative things to you, like there's certain people that are just like drama filled. I was talking to Kamari a couple of days ago. He was like, yo, y'all talking about, he's like, yo, you anyway, y'all just not in the drama. I was like, we avoid it. We stay away from people because there's no drama in our life. So why would we invite that in? And you invite that in by letting certain people in your life, because certain people thrive off of drama.
Yeah, they need that energy.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's an amazing lesson, right? Spend less than you earn. I think that's always important. And that's not about scarcity or not buying or not taking care of things. Like, I seen Don Johnson post earlier talking about, I only spend money on things that bring me pleasure. And it sounds very simple, but a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah, they be spending stuff on stuff that they don't even care about.
Yeah, trying to impress somebody else, right? Become a lifetime learner. I think that's important, right? One of the hardest things about creating content on the internet, and whether that's Instagram, Facebook, we've been doing this podcast for several years. This is like episode 221 or something like that. We got over 160 so like live. So we put a lot of content into the world. Content with the Black Wealth Project, content on my personal page going back to like 2007. I've been on the internet talking about finance. One of the difficult things is when you are a lifetime learner is looking back at some of your thoughts or views, for me, 15 years ago. And it's like, damn, I said that. Like, as you mature and you continue to learn.
I never have that issue. And
because it's part of growing. But
yes,
because
I'm better than I was yesterday, and I'm 1,000 times better than I was 10 years ago. So I've learned a lot in that time, but I meant what I said when I said it back then. You know what I mean? Like, because that's where I was at. So I never had that issue with, like retracting statements. No, when I said it at the time, that's what I meant.
And I'm not even talking about anything salacious, although
whatever it is.
Before I drop this pod, I probably should go back and check my 2007 Twitter, because Twitter was a different place. I don't even want to,
Listen,
anyway, but I'm not even talking about that.
I said that offended you, I meant to say it.
So, but that's not even what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about,
anything that I said that resonated with you, I also meant to say. Like it was who I was at the time. You know,
I'm not even talking about people. I'm not talking about people and their feelings. I'm talking about it may be some sort of advice or the way I saw the market or the way I saw. I'm talking about as it relates to like
right, because right now it won't make sense because you learn so much from the time.
And also things change, because I'm a lifetime learner, right? I'm always looking. And the funny thing about learning, and what I realized is, I had a teacher used to say this. He said, learn to be an independent thinker, right? You create your own thoughts by taking in information and come up with your own thoughts. He said, but one of the things that he used to tell me was try to find things that disprove the way you feel, right? So I go out looking for opposing information, and then like take it in and see if it changes how I feel. If it doesn't change how I feel, then it makes me stand stronger.
That's what they taught us at Central, though. That was one of the things we had to do.
Yeah.
We had to come up with the opposing side to whatever argument we were making a lot. That was something that we had to do a lot when we were in high school.
Yeah, it definitely was at our high school. And that used to be funny because you would get like in a debate class, you would like get a topic, right? And you like, I'm going in. And you go in, and then they'd be like, all right, now take the other side.
Yeah. you be knee deep in the topic, and then you got to come back with the other side of that topic and try to disprove everything that you said.
But that's how you learn. Like even some of my thoughts, like, and the funny thing is how fast crypto moves, right? Even some of my thoughts on crypto, I always say this to people, like the reason I'm a Bitcoiner and a Bitcoin maxi at that is because of that number 3, a lifetime. The more I study, the more I realize that everything else is trash. But number 4, delayed gratification. That's probably one of the hardest things to do as a person in this world. It's very difficult. That goes back to discipline. Is that delayed gratification?
That's the number one thing that I made a post about 3-4 years ago about things that you should teach your child. And the number one thing that I think you should teach your children is about delayed gratification. Everything doesn't have to happen right away.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why that's an important skill is because impatience causes you to have to do things. Impatience is the time killer of all time killers.
Yeah.
Because it causes you to have to do things over and over and over again. Right. And so if you can have the patience to do it right and do it once, then you save yourself infinite amount of time over your lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so delayed gratification is one of the things that if you can teach your children that is something that you should teach your children. As an educator, I see impatient children all the time.
Yeah.
And so looking at and seeing impatient children, and what happens is that impatience shows up in their learning, right? As soon as they struggle with something, they start to get frustrated and give up because you haven't been taught to delay gratification, right? So they haven't been taught those learning skills, right? They learned how to read, they learned how to do math, but as soon as they come up against something that they struggle with, they shut down and they stop learning because it's hard.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That goes back to that thing you used to say all the time where EQ is greater than IQ.
EQ over IQ.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Going back to my nephew, is watching him grow up because he's got his first job now, so he's in the workforce, and watching him as it pertains to delayed gratification, because it's something that I've been trying to instill in him for a long time, but it's still difficult because now he has his own money and he want to go spend money on like some just random wild stuff because he can, right? So trying to
he's not responsible for anything, so that
so part of you
has a hole in his pocket.
And I've been there, right? So part of you is like, all right, you gotta get this out of your system, right? You know what I mean? But then you gotta like really buckle down too. So let me ask you this question. This is an interesting 4, right? Mm-hmm. If you had to add one thing to this list, what would you add to this list, right? So there's a book out there. It's called The Index Card. It's a personal finance book, and it talks about, the guy says that he can leave everything that he wants to leave. I think he said his daughter or son or something on an index card. Like, personal finance is really that simple, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say you had to flip that card over, and we're not talking about personal finance. We're talking about just like some rules to live a good life. We got 4 right here. If you could only add one thing to this, what rule would Corey add to this list if you had to pass down to your future generations?
Being nice will get you killed.
Whoa.
You could be kind, but don't be nice.
Okay, break that down for me.
So kindness is something you should give to everyone, because you should start off with being kind. But being overly nice and doing and bending and breaking and doing things that are against whatever you believe in will get you hurt or killed. I've seen that happen to a lot of people in their life, and it doesn't kill them right away. It kills them slowly over time, because what they keep doing is they keep bending and they keep giving, and they keep giving. And then all of a sudden the dam breaks, and then no one is there they get washed away, right? Because they were nice, right? You see a lot of people, like, let's take an example. Somebody like MC Hammer, right? He was nice, right? He had the whole Oakland on his back. He was being nice. He made all that money, and he was being philanthropic, and he was being nice. But what he didn't do is take care of himself and in his business and the things around him. He was too busy being nice.
All right, so that's an interesting thought to me, because I gotta think about whether nice is the word. Because I get what you're saying. Like, don't let people take advantage of you. It's basically what you're saying, right?
Yeah. So the thing is
nice. Like, what is it?
Learn. So the operative word is no. Is like, you got to make no a complete sentence and then don't explain, right? You have to just say no.
All right. So I would make that. I would make that your 5th, right? I can't speak for you, but learn to say no. Because the thing about not being nice, right? So what does it mean to be nice? I was looking at the definition of nice, because I was thinking about what you said as you said it, right? And this is why I like having these conversations on the pod. You talk about the difference between being nice and being kind. And if anybody has any thoughts on this, leave them in the comments or whatever about what you think about what Corey said. Because nice means to be pleasant, agreeable, or satisfactory, right? So I
don't have to be any of those things to be kind.
All right, so let's look at the definition of kind. I mean, being pleasant, I don't think is a problem. You think it's a problem being pleasant?
Sometimes.
Okay.
If I'm around somebody I don't like, I'm not really pleasant. But I can be kind to them. Like if they're hungry, I'll still feed them. But like as far as being, you know what I mean? Like I'm not holding no conversations with people I don't like.
So the definition of kind is to be sympathetic toward others and a willingness to do good or give pleasure.
That sounds the willingness to do good. You know what I mean?
Or give pleasure. That sounds a little
well, yeah, that sounds a little, you know what I mean?
Sound a little back pages. This was giving me that kind.
That sound like Motorola Kick 2006.
This was giving me some kind. But anyway,
but see, the thing is, right, you can be kind, right? Because kindness means, you know what I mean, you if somebody is having an issue or a situation or a breakdown, whether you like that person or not, you know what I mean, whether you want to be nice or not, you will help them, with whatever it is that's going on right at that moment, right? But I'm not going to be like, I'm just not, like if I'm in a situation and I
don't think there's anything wrong with being a pleasant person, right? Which is part
of
being...
I'm
right. But that's why I said I would remix. I get what you were trying to communicate. I would remix it by just saying, learn to say no, right? Learn to say no, because I think that's
but it's more than that, because like
okay, so so you're saying it's more than that because what?
Because like it's just not about saying no, right? It's about it's kind of like what Charlie Munger was talking about. Like if you're around people you don't like and you don't really have no choice but to be there, that's happened to me a lot, either in the workplace or in school, where I'm around people where I don't like. I just don't talk to those people. You know what I mean? Like I'm not nice to people I don't like. You know what I mean?
You're also not being kind to them either, though, right?
But the thing is, if I'm sitting there eating and they hungry, I'll give them a piece of my sandwich, because hunger is a basic human need. That's kindness.
It's also being nice too, though. Nice and kind are like synonyms. I'm looking at the definition, right? That's why I said I don't think nice. I don't think the phrase of not being nice.
For me, that's not being nice. That's just being human. You know what I mean? Like you said, letting somebody take advantage of you. Yeah, just don't let nobody take advantage of you. There you go. You said it. Just don't let nobody.
Just learn to say no. All right. It's a whole thing about the difference between nice and kind. So kindness comes from benevolence. Is often expressed through actions that you take for other people, while niceness typically involves more superficial words and simple gestures. A nice person may tell a neighbor that they are sorry that they are sick, while a kind person will drop off some soup. So I
would be way more likely to drop off the soup than wish them any kind of whatever.
See, I might be the different. I might be like, I hope you feel better, and then go in the house because I ain't talking to you anyway, because I don't talk to you generally. Anyway, with all that being said, though, I think that what you're saying about is not being taken advantage of, and so
yeah, just don't let people take advantage of it.
What I would add to this, just to be very brief, is kind of like what they call the golden rule in terms of doing to others, right? Because what I find interesting a lot of times, talking to people when they say, "I did this, do you think I was wrong?" and then you just hit them with, "If they did that to you, how would you feel?" Just that simple question sometimes shifts somebody like, damn, I wouldn't like that, right? So I think the golden rule is really.
I can't give people the golden rule though, because again, I start with kindness. I start every.
But that is part of the golden rule, right? Because I believe everybody should be kind. That's me.
I start every interaction with kindness. Like you will never, like the first thing out my mouth will never be something.
Well, see, again, right? So this is why I say the words matter, right? Because according to like Oxford or whatever, kindness is an action, while nice is how you start things, right? So if you're starting off, you're not starting off with actions. You're starting off by being nice to them, right? Kindness is the action. Nice is just like to be pleasant to someone, right? So even if you don't mess with someone, if they speak to you, you ain't going to spit in their face.
I'm not going to spit in their face, but I might not speak back if I don't like them.
So that's not being nice, but it's also not being kind. Kind is an action. Nice is kind of like, that is words.
Yeah, but but let's just say we're in an auditorium.
But they work hand in hand, though.
But listen, let's just say we're in an auditorium, right? And it's 30 people in this auditorium, a cafeteria. And 29 of us are eating, and you sitting there without no food. I'm not going to let you be the 30th person. And even if I despise you, I'm not going to let you be that 30th person and not eat. That doesn't make. You see what I'm saying? Like it doesn't make any.
But so you're showing kindness by giving them something, but you're also being nice by acknowledging the fact that, yo, you don't have nothing. Here's something for you. They work hand in hand. It's just one is more of the action and the other one is like, so, I mean, if you
the next day, if they would try to speak to me, I still wouldn't talk to them.
If you weren't a nice person, you wouldn't even recognize that they don't have, nor would you care.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, so I think they work hand in hand. But the golden rule to me is important because a lot of times we take actions and we don't think about how we would take those actions if we were on the other end. And a lot of this is about relationships. But I think that as someone who managed billions of dollars and created so much value in the world, having those simple things, right? And you know, it's context to that too, right? We have to speak from the context of being a Black person in America, which kind of changes this overall conversation in all four of them. But I still think that we can come up with a couple simple rules that will probably do our community well as we go through this journey of building wealth, creating value, and loving one another, which is what By the Hood is all about. It could be simplified. I think the simpleness of this, as well as some of the things and gems that him and his partner have left throughout, I think that is the most value that they provide for me. It's not really about the finance piece, right? It's not about how they break down companies. Although I do think there's a clip out there where someone asked him about EBITDA, and he was like, "It's basically bullshit, right?" He breaks down why EBITDA's trash. I thought that was interesting, but most of the things are just the simple things. It's the simple things that, because everything, Corey, you say this all the time. Compounding isn't just about money, right?
No, it ain't.
Or whether we're talking about being nice, kind, whatever it may be, when you put that kind of energy out there, that compounds as well.
Yeah, it do.
You know what I mean? So, but anyway, for the audience out there, what would you add to this simple list to live a good life, right? The list that Munger left us with is spend less than you earn, avoid toxic people and activities, become a lifetime learner, delay gratification. Corey said, don't let people take advantage of you. It's his fifth one. And my fifth one is the golden rule, do unto others. So what would be the thing that you would add to this list to live a good life? Give us some feedback. Let us know what you think. We appreciate the support as always. Be on the lookout. We're getting ready to head into 2024. So working on a lot of things behind the scenes. But we're always doing work in the community. With that being said, though, do all the YouTubing and stuff, like, comment, subscribe, leave us feedback on all the podcast platforms. And just shout out to everybody, man, who supports what it is that we've got going on. And let us know what you would add to those 4 rules to live a good life. Rest in power to Charlie Munger. Any last words before we get out of here, good brother?
Yeah, take care of the people around you. Start kindness. Let that kindness start at home. You know what I mean? Take care of the people around you. You know what I mean? I watch a lot of people treat people that they don't know at all better than the people that help them. People be talking about payback, but they never talk about paying back the people that help them get to where they at. You know what I mean? They always talk about paying back, bro. They be talking about paying back, all the wrongs that was done to them. Well, how about paying back some of that energy? My auntie, rest in power to my auntie, my Aunt Meredith, she always used to say, don't pay it back, pay it forward. You know what I mean? You can never pay it back because you can't give me that time back, but you can always pay it forward and give it to someone else.
That's fire. That's fire.
And so she would never let me pay her back. She would always say, make sure you pay it forward to someone else.
That's dope. That's dope. And that's amazing gems, amazing lessons. Shout out to the ancestors. But here's the thing, though. You better start a whole other pod with that, man, because I've seen people, especially in this culture that we live in of celebrity worship, where I've seen, and I ain't gonna say no names, people won't even wish they parents or aunties a happy birthday, but you go on there and you start adding celebrities that ain't paying you no mind. Happy birthday to them. I'm like, dude, yesterday was your sister's birthday. You ain't say nothing to her, but you won't be online, giving a coal off to some celebrity that don't care nothing about it. Anyway, man, yeah, a lot of y'all is the key to Koloffs. I mean, so I just call y'all Koloffs, man. Stop.
Right, you about to do this to
internet Koloff, man, and take care of your family, man. Mother Teresa once said, man, and I've heard some racist things about her too, but I'm a believer. But the quote is still what the quote is, which is that if everybody cleaned in front of their stoop, if everybody took the time to clean in front of their stoop,
the cleanest place.
The world will be a clean place, right? And shout to Michael Jackson, said, look, man, it starts with the man in the mirror, right? So the point is, you know what I mean? Like, we spend a lot of time judging people. You should be doing this or they should be doing this. Just take care of your family. Do what you can do in your own little world. And, the world will be a better place, man. But with that being said, though, appreciate you, good brother, as always, man. Hope everything is lovely down there in Houston. For our folks in Houston, man, reach out to Corey, man. Show them where to get the good food, man. Keith Lee out there now putting some people on blast, but it is what it is.
I'm not a food critic, but if I was, they wouldn't be happy with me here.
Oh, you talking trash about the Houston food?
It's the food is either very, very good or very, very mid.
Oh, okay. So they got no middle class food. Everything is
everything is either exceptional. Like there's some exceptional food here, and then there's some real absolute mid in this joint. Like,
yo, man, you need somewhere in between. You always gotta have the middle spaces where it's like I ain't gonna.
Yeah, like I haven't had like middle tier food. I've had trash ass food and I've had great food. I haven't had the mid tier experience yet. So a lot of places would be extremely happy with my review, and then some places would be like, "Man, he don't know what he's talking about." But I've had some trash. I've had some trash. Trash.
All right, y'all. So our folks in Houston, man, reach out to Corey, let them know what's popping, man. With that being said, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Please stay safe out there. As we always say, it's not about how much money you make. It's about how much you keep. Game elevates, and we'll see you guys in our next episode. Peace.